Everybody, and welcome. So welcome to our online open course, chooses optional modules for themselves. So tailors the optional bucket to their own interests. And again, one of our module leads will be discussing one of these optional modules very soon. And the third element that makes this MSc very strong is that we offer an opportunity for in-depth research. So 50% of this MSc is a research project. And again, we talk to each candidate and we try and map a project to their interests or their career progression. So when we put all these together, all these three elements together, we think that's really fairly unique. And also it provides the opportunity to create a bespoke, a tailored program that maps to people's interests and to the career aspirations. And because of that, we think that this is a very exciting MSc, and it is also suited to any point in one's career. From the time they leave medical school to the time they are consultants, we have had both medical school leavers and consultants joining us, and each one of them, I think, enjoyed this project. So this program. So I think I'm going to stop there, and I will now invite Dr. Andres Vicente, who is our senior teaching administrator and manager, just to provide some practical information about this MSc. So Andres, over to you.
Hello, everybody. I'm just going to move to my, give me 1 second. If I can move it to the next slide. Here it is. Like Magdalena was saying, I am part of the wider faculty education administration and student experience team. We cover, so just to cover on what we do, my role is as education coordinator. I manage not only this program, but a few of other programs within the division, as well as other divisions within the faculty, all at the postgraduate level. And then together with myself, I've got one of my team members, who's Jody, who will be the education administrator for this program. If you want to contact us, you've got there our email address that we monitor either one of us. So what it is that we do. So we are the first point of contact for students, for any sorts of queries, and those are the tasks that we kind of cover. So first of all, obviously, admissions, onboarding, anything related to recruitment, and so on. So at this stage, if any of you has any questions about the admissions process, offers, and so on, you can email us at that email address, and then we'll try and address it. Once you are with us, then we deal with all the general student administration processes, assessment, regulations and procedures, student engagement and general support, timetabling, and generally we work supporting teaching delivery. So Jody would be the first point of contact for students, but I'm also fairly involved, hence why I'm here. So that's it. That's a quick summary in terms of what it is that we do.
Thank you, Andres. So please, everybody, note the contact email that will be answered by Jody or Andres or another one of the team, and they will be informing Hazel and myself. And also, before I hand over to our next presenters, I also wanted to let you know that you can take this MSc as full-time for 1 year, part-time over 2 years, or 5 years as a modular delivery that can actually provide flexibility when one is working full-time. So thank you for that, Andres. I would like now to invite Professor Nader Francis and Leo, if he's around, to talk about our hands-on surgical skills training modules that are compulsory to this MSc. So over to you, Nader.
Thank you, Marilyn, and it's my pleasure to be with you all here to talk about this exciting program. This part is fun. You will come and spend 1 week with us. 1 week for robotic, and I will leave Leo to speak about microsurgery. Especially, I think people enjoy it, and they find it very, very informative. You will have the opportunity to learn everything about the robotic machine. We understand that you will not have much robotic skills before, but it's amazing how transformation will happen during the course of the week, from a novice to the machine to become very familiar, understanding all the troubleshooting, understanding how to solve our problems. The first couple of days, you will start to basically explore the machine, all the buttons, how does it work. And then we use a lot of models and simulation, and you start to practice some surgical skills. You start with simple tasks, dissection, suturing, and then you progress into more complicated and advanced tasks. We do have formative assessment as an integral part, and it gives you very structured feedback. And I think personally, that's why it enhances the learning within the week you spend in the lab. Also, there are a lot of opportunities for research. So we have a major track record in researching AI along with surgical skills. So why I'm saying that? If there are shortage of any research projects, come please and work with us. We now have automated live feedback by the AI. So you will sit on the machine, you will perform the operation or simulated task. The feed will go into a software which belongs to us. At the end of your performance, it gives you a barcode. You scan that on your mobile phone, and that will give you a very structured, personalized feedback to your own performance using one of the validated tools called Gears, which it gives you basically about what are the areas you need to work and you need to enhance. And we use that quite a lot with our research and with our students as well. In addition to all of that, you just find it really a very interesting, very stimulating, and the team will look after you. We have 2 robotic machines, 4 consoles, plus additional mobile or portable console. So you will have plenty of time to sit. You're not going to just stand and watch, and you will be enjoying it without a doubt. Before I hand you over to the next speaker, Leo, to speak about microsurgery, I've had a look to see every single feedback, and it's all amazing. 5 out of 5. So people love it. So I have no doubt that you will love that week in robotic surgical skills.
Perfect, thank you. Hello, my name is Leo. I am one of the tutors here at the Griffin Institute working with UCL. Andres, could you please go on to the previous slide? Thank you. So, the one after that, sorry. Okay, so the microsurgery has been taught at the Griffin Institute for the last 30 years, and over the last decade, we've been collaborating with UCL to deliver those skills to their students. So microsurgery has several different applications across multiple specialities, including plastic surgery, max facs, orthopedics. And the course aims to develop and enhance microsurgical skills, particularly those used in microvascular anastomosis. The course is it's highly practical, and it's supported by clinical lectures and input from visiting clinicians. A wide range of models are used, from synthetic to ex vivo models, and students perform a variety of procedures, including end-to-end and end-to-side anastomosis in both arteries and veins. The caliber usually spans between 3 to 3 mil, and we even do some super microsurgery that goes down to 1 mil. The course is 5 days long and the assessment is on the 5th and final day. But during those initial 4 days, there is a lot of formative feedback. So students can learn from their mistakes, they can gauge advice from these expert clinicians and input that advice into their microsurgery skills. And we've received amazing feedback, as Nada mentioned. People really feel like they develop their microsurgical and microvascular skills on this course. And you start the course, and microsurgery is a very difficult task, and everyone starts and they struggle. And by the end of the week, you've really developed skills that will stay with you throughout your career. That's everything from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nader and Leo. You're absolutely right. The hands-on surgical skills are hugely appreciated by and very much enjoyed by everybody that joins the course. And every single one of the feedback forms has always given you guys 6 out of 6 or 5 out of 5 or whatever it is that we give. And we are very grateful that we can offer this as part of the MSc. So thank you both. Andres, would you very kindly click for the next slide? Okay, so the second element of the MSc was about our bucket of optional modules on very exciting different topics. And I'm delighted that Professor Nicoletta Nomikou is with us today, and she's going to give us a very brief overview about one of the optional modules, which is surgical oncology. So Nicoletta, over to you.
Thank you, Marilena. Yes, surgical oncology is one of the optional modules of this program, and I'm the program lead. It has been offered to MSc students previously with clinical background, and it has received good feedback, very good feedback, and it's very informative, particularly for clinicians. There are no prerequisites for this module, and I understand that there may have been a long time since you were taught the basics of biochemistry and cancer biology. But this module covers even the basics, even DNA structure or the cell cycle, so you don't need to be worried that you will, you won't be able to follow. Andres, could you press? Yes, there's animation in the slide. So we discussed cellular and molecular processes of cancer that lead to cancer initiation and cancer progression. We also talk about how these processes dictate or influence diagnosis and treatment. And we discussed the current diagnostic methods like ultrasound, contrast ultrasound, MRI, CT, and PET-CT, how these techniques are used for diagnosing cancer, many different types of cancer. And in fact, there will be a specialized lecture on pancreatic cancer perioperative and intraoperative imaging that will be offered exclusively to the attendees with clinical background. And the module will also discuss the current treatment methods, technological advances in therapy, and minimally invasive treatment that are quite hot nowadays for the treatment of cancer. We discuss conventional and novel chemotherapy, immunotherapy, radiotherapy, different kinds of radiotherapy. You will learn to distinguish among different kinds of radiotherapy, which is many clinicians aren't able to do this, like IMRT and stereotactic radiotherapy and so on. We're going to talk about proton beam therapy and radiofrequency ablation, high intensity focused ultrasound, microwave ablation, cryoablation, magnetic hyperthermia, and the different applications and clinical considerations for their use in cancer therapy. So There will be specialized surgeons discussing the surgical management of different types of cancer. We give particular emphasis on breast cancer, upper and lower GI cancers, prostate cancer, and pancreatic cancer. And yes, so that's all I had to say. Looking forward to having you.
Thanks, Nicoletta. I think your module is very much a strong demonstration of how we aim to teach everything from the underlying science to the translation and the actual practice of surgery. And all our teaching offerings are research-led. We have experts in all these, and therefore you get lectures from the experts in either the science or the translational sort of opportunities or the actual practice. It's the same for the hands-on surgical skills, and it is the same for the optional modules. So thank you very much. So Andres, could we go on the next slide? And this is the third element of this MSc. It is our research project. Again, another sort of jewel in the crown. Dr. Hazel Welsh is the lead, not just the co-director of the MSc, but the lead for the research project module. And she may be online, but she was losing her voice yesterday. So I'm not exactly sure if she'll be able to talk to this or whether or not. No, can you, Hazel?
Hi, I'm able to have voice communication, but not a picture, which is not a bad thing. First of all, I want to emphasize, thanks, Marilena, but Nicoletta's module is highly sought after and wonderful, and the students love it. But we consider the two hands-on surgical skills modules are jewels in the whole of the program. But that doesn't belittle the research project, because this is worth 50% of your MSc. So you are going to invest a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of time undertaking and interpreting all of your data for your research project. So what I've put up is an example of 4 previous projects and 4 current projects, because I want to demonstrate the diversity of the projects that are offered, and certainly in the top half, those projects that have been undertaken, and those were really excellent projects. Either they led to the publication of a paper in a refereed journal, and or they led to a first order presentation at an international conference. So we will support you as much as we can in presenting and allowing publications of your research project. And Nada earlier on mentioned research projects. Well, that third one on the list, application of OCRA, assessing genetic robotic surgical skills during training. That was one of our excellent students who went on to publish that work along with Nada's team. And one of them, the interfering RNA project there, is one of my students. He went on to present his data at 2 international conferences. And then if you look at the current projects at the bottom half, there's an amazing list. They're really, really very diverse. 3D printing is becoming very popular, although Marilena nor I teach on that subject, but it goes on with different teams within the department. So during the first term, you will learn about the projects that are offered to the students, and they will vary every year. It's unlikely that the same project will be offered twice. There might be some similarity, but it depends on the supervisor, the team, how their research is progressing. So the research is always up to date, new, hopefully hasn't been done before, it may be repeated, but you will make a valued contribution to that teamwork. So by the end of the term, you will hopefully have decided on your project. Some of them, we can make personal contact with some of our surgeons, and they're able to offer specialized topics, but you'll learn about that when you actually start. Hopefully, you will be able to start your project in term 2. Indeed, we expect you to start. You will have other modules perhaps still running and some exams, but this is an important learning stage, background review of all the literature, but you will be undertaking your project full-time in the 3rd term. And we would aim for you to finish about mid-July, where you will be submitting your thesis as well. And it is writing that thesis that's a valuable experience. You will learn to write, you will learn how to critical review other published papers, how to review and interpret your data, do statistical analysis. And when I show you some of the books, the theses that students have produced in the back, previously, the students have thought, wow, I could never do this. But you will. All of you will produce an excellent piece of work. And I know that may not be the jewel of the whole of the program, but the research project, we find the students say is their most satisfying experience, and they love it too. I think that's all I can say for now, but we can answer questions. And thank you everybody else for joining.
Thank you, Hazel. Thank you to all my colleagues for participating today. So what we hope we have done is just do a whistle-stop tour with the highlights of the MSc, and I hope we also conveyed why we think this MSc is unique and is incredibly useful and enjoyable for one's career aspirations. So I would be really happy to, Andres, would you mind stop sharing the screen, please? And thank you for your help. All right. So what I would like to do now is actually open up the Q&A and see if there are any questions. Okay. So I'm not seeing any questions, which means that we have blinded you with our excellence, of course, about this MSc. Right. So one is coming up. Thank you for the presentation. I would like to ask 2 questions. First, just to clarify, are MSc Surgery and Interventional Science and MSc Surgical Sciences 2 different programs? Or is MSc Surgical Sciences a new rebranded version? So I am going to answer that one. The MSc was always MSc in Surgical Sciences. Then the name changed to Surgical and Interventional Sciences, and now we changed it back to MSc Surgical Sciences. So it is one program. I hope that's clear. Second question is it possible for students to join a research group or lab based of the chosen research topics, and are supervisors assigned based on these topics? The short answer is yes, but I will invite Hazel to comment on that, and I think Andres would also like to add to this. Hazel, are you able to take this question? The question was, is it possible for students to join a research group or lab based on the chosen research topics, and are supervisors assigned on these topics?
I think the answer to both of those is yes. We are dependent upon the surgeons and the research staff to write their projects, and that they create a list during term 1. I also meet, well, many times as a tutor, I will also meet all of you as students. And if you decide there isn't a project there that you are interested in, it may be that Marilena or I or other members of the team can communicate with a surgeon perhaps that we know and will run a project, and we go out and we reach out to them and ask them if they would be able to facilitate a student research project, which is vetted by me and Marilena if she has time, so that we know that you will be offered a good project that has sound science and can be done in the time allocated.
Thank you, Hazel. And if I may add to
Yeah,
that, we
and
have
yes.
never had a problem finding a suitable
No.
project for each one of our students, and we've been running this for about 20 years. Andres, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I can add a bit on that one. So what we've been trying to do in the last couple of years is to try and centralize the process in terms of how supervisors propose their own projects, and then how those projects, once we review them, then they go to the students, and then the students can select like their top choices. And then based on their top choices, then we will try and allocate students with supervisors. But also, like Hazel and Marilena were saying, if a student finds somebody that they would like to work with, they can also propose an independent project in discussion with supervisor and with Marilena and Hazel, and that can also be doable.
Thank you. We do our best to actually provide a satisfactory project for each student, and we haven't failed yet. Thank you. All right, so there's another question from Benita. Thank you for joining us today. Can recent graduates join the program, or do you need clinical experience? And the answer is yes. Recent graduates can join the program without any clinical experience. We do not accept intercalating medical students taking up this MSc. You must have finished your MBBS or the equivalent by the time this MSc starts in September, October 2026. And Andres, do you want to add to this?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Hazel.
I was just going to add that the students, whether they have experience or whether they're recent graduates, they all really appreciate the program. And I think the recent graduates, they approach it differently and they get different things out of it. Some of our excellent students have taken the course because they need to decide on their career, where they're, the direction of their career. So it's useful for different aspects, but we know our students really enjoy it. Thank you.
And we have had students, like I said before, that's just finished, the recent graduates just finished the medical degree, and we've actually had consultants joining us for different reasons, and each take away sort of different sort of strengths and experience and out of it. So right now, I'm not seeing any more questions. Would anyone of the panel would like to add anything to what we've already presented or discussed? No? We're all good. That's fine. So, Emiliana, is it appropriate for us now to close the open event? Oh, Nada.
No, I haven't.
You haven't. Okay, so
Yeah.
I would like to close this by saying thank you ever so much for participating. We hope we've given you a flavor of how amazingly exciting this MSc is, and we hope to see you in the future. Please, by all means, if you have any questions, email us at the address that's been dropped very kindly by Emiliana in the chat, and we will take it from there. Hopefully, we will see you in September. Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, Marilena. Thank you.
Thank you, team.